Welcome to Israel Now. I'm Bob Brooks.
And I'm Katrina Zish, where we, along with our team broadcasting in Israel, highlight the latest news coming from our strongest ally in the Middle East.
In this special, we'll journey into the heart of Israel, talking to local entrepreneurs and religious leaders while also exploring the area's rich history, their nightlife, and Israeli cuisines.
But first, President Donald Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House on Monday. This was to discuss the peace plan put forward by President Trump to end the war in Gaza and to get the hostages back.
It's a 20-point plan, and here are some of the key takeaways. All living hostages would be released within 48 hours. There would be an immediate end to the war after the IDF withdrawals. Gaza would be demilitarized, with Hamas leaders to leave, and Israel would not be annexing Gaza. And here's what the two world leaders also had to say.
Today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East.
From Jerusalem to Tehran, from the Golan Heights to Gaza, you've proven time and again what I've said many times. You are the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. And Mr. President, you and I both know it's not even close. I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
So how do Israelis feel about this plan? What do they think?
Israeli correspondent Jody Cohen, who's broadcasting from Israel, spoke to local residents to hear their thoughts.
Qatar has said that a Hamas delegation is today meeting with Qatar and Turkey to discuss President Trump's 20-point peace proposal, which Israel has accepted. The question now is, will Hamas accept as well? I spoke with people here on the streets of Jerusalem to hear their views.
I hope that it will happen. The most important thing that the hostages will come back.
Not so optimistic, but let's hope for that.
Anything to get for the safety of the hostages and for the troops.
I certainly hope there's peace. I hope there's peace in a sustainable way where everybody long-term is able to live safely and happily.
I don't think I like it because I don't like releasing terrorists, and because I think it just normalizes and gives people more drive to kidnap more Israelis around the world.
Best result we could have asked for. We're lucky, given all the alternatives, we're very lucky that President Trump is in the White House.
So people here are cautiously optimistic. Meanwhile, we're hearing reports that it might take the Hamas terror group several days to respond. Back to you.
Joining us now, author of One Jewish State and former U.S. Ambassador to Israel, David Friedman. Ambassador Friedman, thank you so much for joining us. Right off the bat, I've got to hear what you think about this, I'll say, very likely historic meeting between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Well, thanks for having me. Indeed historic. And, I think I happen to be in Jerusalem now as well. So I've been on the streets a little bit today, and most Israelis are very happy about this for a couple of reasons. I mean, the most basic reason, hostages hopefully will come home. That's an enormous achievement by President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Israel, will clearly end up the victor here, the winner of the war. Hamas will be dismantled. Gaza will no longer present a threat to Israel. And I think the real achievement here is that President Trump was able to get on side so many Arab nations. I mean, such a broad spectrum of Arab nations from the Gulf, from elsewhere within the Arab world, Qatar, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, actively pushing for this to happen. So it's not just Israel against Hamas anymore. It's Israel, America, and the entire Arab world now against Hamas. President Trump has succeeded in isolating this vile terror organization, giving it very little options except to capitulate.
Ambassador, let's talk about this. There's going to be a new government formed. President Trump said he's going to head the board, the board of peace that he talked about. Regarding Palestinians, though, this is what President Trump said on that in their future, that they'll have to decide moving forward.
I challenge the Palestinians to take responsibility for their destiny, because that's what we're giving them. We're giving them responsibility for their destiny, fully condemn and prohibit terrorism and earn their way to a brighter future. They don't want the life that they've had. They've had a rough life with Hamas.
Ambassador, your thoughts about that?
Well, the Palestinians have had a rough life with essentially all their leaders. They're no more fond of the Palestinian Authority than they are of Hamas. In fact, they're even less in favor of the Palestinian Authority. That's another corrupt organization which pays terrorists to kill Jews, which is deeply unpopular, which hasn't had an election in 20 years. It's not a legitimate government. All the Palestinians that I know and I've met many over the course of the years, have no confidence in the PA. So President Trump has issued a challenge to the Palestinians. I'm very skeptical whether the Palestinians are able to meet the challenge. In fact, that's why I wrote the book, One Jewish State, because I do believe at the end of the day, the ultimate outcome here, the best outcome for all, is for Israel to assert its sovereignty over this region. I think that really is a win-win for Palestinians and Israelis alike.
What will Iran's role be in this? Because we know that they certainly don't view Hamas and other terrorist groups as terrorist groups. They view them as freedom fighters.
Well, look, Iran is still out there. They are weaker than they've been, certainly, to my recollection. They are isolated, as this agreement that the president has forged has achieved. They've been isolated. Their economy is in ruins. The UN has finally done something right, which is to restore the snapback sanctions against Iran. They will make mischief, but I do believe their capacity to hurt their neighbors, to damage Israel, to damage America, has been massively diminished. And we got to keep an eye on it. And I think the president will keep an eye on it to make sure they don't crawl back out from under their rock.
Okay. Got to leave it there. Ambassador David Friedman, sir, always a pleasure to have you on. Good to see you.
My pleasure as well. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ambassador. All right. Well, we've been joined by Ambassador David Friedman, President Trump's first ambassador to Israel, and author of the best-selling book, One Jewish State. You can find the book at major bookstores and on Amazon. Get his book, One Jewish State, for free with a special offer. Call or go online and check it out. All right, coming up on Israel Now, climate activist Greta Thunberg has another project to bring aid to Gaza. Now, that's despite the countless aid trucks already being brought into the area.
And welcome back into Israel Now. Greta Thunberg's new initiative is not climate change, but rather the fight for the Palestinian people. Her flotilla to Gaza has brought upon international headlines.
Thunberg and the group are refusing to give the aid to Israel or other nations to bring to Gaza. Instead, they insist that they must be the ones to bring it to Gaza themselves.
Well, back in August, the Newsmax crew went to the Israel-Gaza border and saw dozens of trucks of aid going into Gaza. So here's a conversation about Thunberg's flotilla that she has. Okay.
Israel says these stunts are designed to provoke a response. What message does this send? You know, if some European groups or even governments are kind of quietly backing these efforts?
Well, first of all, it is clear that Israel is operating within its own maritime sovereignty. That is a clear matter. If 5,000 ships or 5,000 any kind of transportation, maritime transportation, would be heading towards our coast, British coast, French coast, what would be the response? Very similar, trying the best they can to avoid any clash, any casualty, and then process them through their immigration system. Now, Israel is at war with Hamas, and Hamas is at war with Israel. I question the logic and I question the legitimacy of sending organized ships into a war zone. That is very concerning because it could happen elsewhere, it could happen repetitively, and it could trigger a higher level of war at a time that our administration, moderate Arabs, even the Israelis, of course, would like to see the conflict settled. It is a reckless, irresponsible action on behalf of the flotilla bosses in the background.
Well, Dr. Walid Farah, it's always a pleasure to have you on and get your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Coming up on Israel Now, countless protests over the last 2 years chanting for Palestine. But do you know where the word even came from? Well, we're going to talk about that.
Welcome back to Israel Now. For the last 2 years, we have heard the chants of Free Palestine.
But do these people even know where Palestine came from?
Where is Palestine?
It's where Israel is currently situated.
The whole area?
It should be.
Have you thought about going over there and maybe joining the fight? Just wondering what the whole thing is down here.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
It's a protest to end the genocide in Palestine.
Where is Palestine?
Palestine? It's in Asia.
I'm trying to figure out where the actual physical location of Palestine that you guys are declaring should be.
Why does that matter?
Well, you're protesting for it.
Protesting for the country.
But you don't know where it is?
Why does that matter?
Palestine actually comes from the Roman Emperor Hadrian in 135 CE, and this Jerusalem Post article lays it all out. The lasting move that Hadrian made, the one that he is most remembered for, is the fake news that he created. The territory of Judea, the home territory of the kings of the United Kingdom of Israel, became Syria Palestina, named after Israel's enemy, the Philistines, a biblical sea people to mock, and subsequently the made-up terms of Palestine and Palestinians were born.
And as the Times of Israel notes, the name Palestine was imposed by Rome to erase the Jewish connection. Joining us now, Professor Emeritus at Harvard Law School, Alan Dershowitz. Professor, always a pleasure. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So first off, let's react to that clip. Carl Higbie out there with those protesters.
Yeah.
Have no idea where Palestine is, or really not much about it at all.
In the world.
Yes, in the world.
No
okay,
idea.
Yeah, your reaction.
They don't care about Palestinians. They don't care about anybody except Jews. If the Palestinians were being allegedly oppressed by Syria or by Iraq the way the Kurds are, you wouldn't hear a word about the Palestinians. These people don't care about the Palestinians. They do nothing to help the Palestinians. They are just anti-Israel, anti-Jewish, anti-Zionist. It's all about anti. It's not about pro. Even the deal that the president has offered, many of these radical anti-Israel people are against the deal, even though Palestinians favor it, because they don't care about the Palestinian people. They only care negatively about the Jewish people and about Israel. So this is a form of international anti-Semitism. Israel is the Jew among nations, and all these ignorant, useful, idiot fools that are marching against Israel have no idea what they're marching for. They're marching for rapists. They're marching for sexists. They're marching for people who throw gays off the roof. Gays for Palestine. My God, if a gay ever walked into Hamas-controlled territory, they'd be thrown off a roof immediately. So this is the phoniest cause ever, the Palestinian cause. It has very little to do with the Palestinian people. It has everything to do with the Jewish people.
And again, a lot of those people you mentioned, they're marching for terrorists as well. Now, of course, we do have a lot of countries, including multiple U.S. allies, actually recognizing a Palestinian state. What do you make of that? It seems that it might be a little bit reckless, particularly now.
It's worse than reckless. These are people who don't demand that a Palestinian state recognize Israel before they recognize it. They don't demand the hostages be released. It's all completely unilateral. It sends a message to Hamas. Do it again. attack Israel, murder people, rape people, behead people. You'll get rewarded for it. Look, you got recognition from Canada, the most hypocritical state on the earth. Canada refused to allow a single Jew to escape the Holocaust. The minister of absorption in the 1940s said, even one Jew was too many. And then right after the war was over, they opened their door to Nazi war criminals. And they hold themselves off as being such a wonderful country. And now they recognize this non-existent state called Palestine without even demanding that this non-existent state reciprocally recognize Israel. Look, the deal that's been offered is a very good deal, but it requires enormous sacrifice by Israel. Israel is being asked to release murderers, mass murderers. In a sense, what the deal says is we're equating innocent grandmothers and children and babies who were kidnapped, who were hostages, to a person who murdered a whole family. We're going to allow many more of them to be released in exchange for Israeli hostages. So I support the deal that was offered by President Trump and many of the Arab countries. And let's see if it can come into reality.
You mentioned the fact that, mass murderers from the Gaza Strip, they're going to be released. Also, Hamas members that lay down their arms, they're going to get amnesty. I know this has to be extremely difficult for many in Israel and around the world to watch happen, hypothetically, if it does.
It is. And for the families of those who were murdered, look, let's remember what happened when Gilad Shalit was released. One person was released in exchange for more than 1,000 terrorists, including Sinwar, who then murdered so many people. And so I have long, since I wrote my first book about this, Why Terrorism Works, I have long been opposed to exchanges of kidnapped people for prisoners. But every country does it because they're democracies and they have to listen to the family of the hostages. But as a matter of policy, if I had my way, I would never, ever exchange murderers for hostages. But in the real world, it has to happen. And as both Netanyahu and Trump said, both sides have to make painful compromises. Now, let's see if Hamas is prepared to make real compromises for peace, which would mean laying down their arms, giving up any control of the Gaza Strip, and allowing a kind of technological group to govern in the interim. That would be the best resolution for the moment.
Professor, there is an article on the Jewish Journal titled The Inside Story of How Palestinians Took Over the World. Now, 25 years ago, the author says a Palestinian told him this, quote, "We will create over the next years Palestinian campus activists in America and all over the world. How will we pay for this? From the European Union, Arab and Muslim governments, wealthy Arab people and their organizations." That sounds a bit like a crystal ball in terms of exactly what's happening now. But I specifically want to get your reaction to what's happening on our college campuses. I know you've spent some time on more than one.
Well, I've written a book about this called Palestinianism, and we've distributed thousands and thousands of free copies of it to college campuses. I make a similar point. Palestinianism is for the destruction of Israel. It doesn't stand for the creation of a state. Nobody has ever seen a pro-Palestine demonstration that calls for a two-state solution. It doesn't exist. I will pay money to charity if somebody can find me any demonstration on any college campus in which the demonstration calls for a two-state solution. They don't want a Palestinian state living side by side with Israel. They want a Palestinian state to replace Israel. The difference between Zionism and Palestinianism, Zionism was about creating a state. Palestinianism is about destroying a state. Palestinianism is the biggest, phoniest human rights issue. I'm a human rights activist. I've been a human rights activist for 70 years. And I do not believe the Palestinian cause deserves to be anywhere on the list of important causes. If you want to have a cause, represent the Kurds. They don't have a state. There are many more of them. They're very different. They were promised. They don't use violence. Become an activist, a pro-Kurdish activist. When you're a pro-Palestinian activist, you're not for the Palestinian people. You're just against the Jewish people. It's a completely negative, not a positive spin, and shame on the people who call themselves pro-Palestinian.
Well, we know that President Trump, with this new peace deal, is hoping for eternal peace in the Middle East. I know that is a tall order, but we certainly hope that's how it all plays out. Professor Alan Dershowitz, thank you.
I hope, too. Thank you.
Thank you. And in other news, Haifa is Israel's third largest city and is home to the country's biggest port.
Our Israel correspondent Jody Cohen visited that city and is broadcasting from there in Israel.
Welcome to multicultural Haifa, the capital of Israel's north.
Haifa is the best city in Israel.
Very beautiful place. It's nice to see a lot of kind of people are in the same place together.
Haifa is a historic port city where the old meets the new.
Haifa is just really beautiful overall, and it's very peaceful, and everyone seems to just get along and enjoy each other.
First of all, it's my city. And it's very, very beautiful city.
The main thing is the view. You have the sea, you have the mountain, you have co-living, you have a great spirit of things that are environment. You have the best places to eat.
The food is brilliant. We are here, Arab and Jewish, we have more communication than other places. The people, they have respect between each other. If you are from another community or another nation, we have like accepting each other.
You have everything. You have the Jews, you have the Muslims, you have the Christian, you have the Druze, and everything combined. Just it works. It works.
Look at that view. Incredible.
Stunning. Absolutely beautiful.
Take a trip there?
I think it sounds like a road trip. Yeah.
Okay. We've got to put that one. Get an assignment out there.
Yes.
Right? Okay. That does it for Israel Now. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm Bob Brooks.
And I'm Katrina Zish. We will see you next time. And a reminder, this program is brought to you by LaPalm.